back. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by Philippe Silvestre, who is the president and founder of Neurokinetics Health Services here in Vancouver. Sonia Dale is the clinic manager and our guest as well on this program. We're talking about migraines. And Philippe, we were talking just before the break about what causes migraines, who are most likely to get migraines, at what point in one's life. Usually in the puberty years, we would see them, but not necessarily. If you don't get migraines, for example, when you're a teenager, doesn't mean that, I'm not going to get them now because I didn't get them when I was a teenager. There are no rules like that when it comes to migraines, are there?
No, not at all. It is a very, in Western medicine, the causation of migraine, as we call that, is not well identified.
We haven't determined the causation of migraines in Western medicine very well?
No.
Okay. So what do we say then when people begin to get migraines? What people tell you, Sonia, when they call you up and they say, look, I've been to Dr. A, Dr. B, Dr. C, and so on, and I have this horrible migraine thing, and nobody seems to either be able to do anything for me or even take me terribly seriously. So what do they tell you that they've been told by other physicians and other practitioners that they've seen?
They've basically been just told to rest.
Right.
Take the, regular off-the-shelf medications that's available in local drugstores.
Right.
And just rest up, rest well, it'll go away. That's pretty much what they get. And a lot of the time, all I hear from the patients that we have, or former patients that we've had, is a lot of frustration, and they're at their wits' end. They're hopeless. They just need to understand, why are they getting these headaches? Is there a cure for these headaches? And why are they coming, after a few months on a regular basis? Some get them after a few weeks.
Well, let me steal a couple of questions from Sonia here, Dr. Philippe. Why do people get migraines, and is there a cure?
Well, those are complex questions, but I will try to give you a simple answer. There are short and long answers to that. So let's go first with the short answers. So why one would begin to suffer from a migraine?
Yes.
Well, it is my experience that it can be, it is a multifactorial situation that will open a situation to become predisposed to start a migraine condition under given circumstances, which requires a trigger.
Right, and this is what we were talking about just before the break, the trigger. Okay, so are we all sort of walking around as potential migraine sufferers, just some of us not triggered as easily as others? Is it that simple?
Well, it is there's a gradient of severities in being predisposed to suffer from a migraine.
Okay.
It is my regular observation that, thanks to the assessment methodology we have, we found out always that there is, at some point in the history of the patient, a traumatic experience that has a cascade of consequences leading to predispose that person to migraine spells.
Now, the traumatic event that set up this person for migraines later on, would that traumatic event, Philippe, have been specifically associated with the brain? Or would it be just a cathartic event in any person's life?
No, it is my experience that and again, with respect to the type of assessment we provide, which is also includes a very, very strong component, neurophysiological component. The brain controls are always found to be involved in a genesis of a migrainous syndrome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's some wire gets crossed in the brain, and I'm using non-technical language, but I'm not a doctor, you are. But so is it just that, so there's something that's just not right, and that's why you're predisposed. There's something chemically isn't completely in balance or in harmony, and when the trigger occurs, off you go.
It doesn't have to be chemical, actually.
Okay.
Yes, it can be chemical, but it's not always the case. We have seen, for example, cortical exacerbation leading to migrainous attacks, which were not chemical dependent at all, but rather physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a genetic package? Is this part of something? Is it familial? If grandma got migraines and mom got migraines, am I likely to get them too? Is that part of the deal?
Well, this is what I learned at medical school 35 years ago. Well, my experience has led me to a place where I question that now, because it's not as written in a stone as I have been taught. It may happen. Not everything is possible in physiology. My apologies. Everything is can be seen physiologically, but yes, so we cannot deny part of that can happen as such. But the most of the cases we have been helping wouldn't have responded to the type of treatment we provide if they would have been chemically dependent.
Ah, okay.
That is a proof in the pie.
Oh, okay. Interesting stuff. Sonia, let's talk about people, because we've talked about you as the clinic manager and all the phone calls you take, and you're a very big part of the intake at Neurokinetics. Walk us through the process. Somebody hears this conversation on the radio and is a migraine sufferer, has had very little satisfaction from conventional medical sources that person has attempted to seek some assistance from. So they go, well, it can't hurt. I haven't received much satisfaction anywhere else, so why don't I give these guys a call? Mm-hmm. So they call you up, you take the call, and walk us through what happens.
Well, they call in, and from there is when I start to list out and weed out what has happened briefly, mm-hmm. to bring them in, to welcome them into our clinic as a complimentary consultation. So they come in, get familiar with Dr. Philippe and the staff that's there, and get to see what we could possibly do for them with a certain condition that they do have.
Okay.
In this case would be migraines, for example. So they come in, we would do that. Then going on forward from there would be the level 1 assessment, which is the brain optimization session assessment.
Okay.
Going on forward to the level 2, then level 3. That after the level 3 is when we go ahead and initiate to do the treatment process from there.
Okay, and
yes.
How long would that process take? For and what is brain optimization? What does that mean? It sounds wonderful, but what exactly does it mean?
It's optimizing your brain is what we really do. Stimulating the brain so it can restore and heal the body and mind.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Philippe, again, with the whole matter of migraines, this is all about the brain. It happens in your brain, and well, with some side effects.
Yes.
Very, very little other places in the body. This is really all about the brain, isn't it?
100%.
Right. So assessment 1 is the brain optimization consultation. And then there's a second session. And what happens at session number 2 of 3?
So what we do is we do a triage of assessments. So the assessments, there is a package of 3 of them.
Right.
Okay. So for 3 of them, we take the data from all 3 of the assessments, the measurable data as we call it, compare the 3 together, and from that point forward, the customized treatment program is made for that certain individual.
I would assume, because you deal with so many people and so many patients who have come to you out of frustration after having received limited, if any, satisfaction from other practitioners, that these people have rather large dossiers of themselves. So, Philippe, when a person comes to Neurokinetics, is it preferable that they bring as much of that medical history with them as possible?
Yes. This is actually, we ask for that.
Okay.
We always invite potential patients to visit, when they come to visit us at this initial introductory session, to bring as what they have at hand. And in a case they wouldn't have anything at hand, we advise them and we invite them to sign up release authorization, so that they allow us and allow other parties to send us their medical records, so that we have an overview and an understanding of their past.
So they give you permission to search their medical history.
It is mandatory.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of remedies and cures and all of these magic potions that people come looking for in this instant gratification society we live in. I think probably one of the early assessment sessions is going to allow people to understand that this is not going to be a rapid process. Look at the time they're taking just to find out about me and what's wrong with me. If they're willing to take that much time up front, clearly they're willing to spend a lot of time making me better.
And actually the assessment time is much longer than the treatment times, session-wise.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We spend every assessment, which is a 3-step. The assessment includes 3 steps, as Sonia explained earlier.
Right.
And every step will be between 4 to 5 hours. So it is almost a day we spend together, pacing and following the patient's pace, because sometimes patients are so weak and vulnerable that we have to take our time, which explains the extent of time. So not everyone would be subject to a 5-hour assessment.
Right.
But the fastest pace I have in my experience over the past 3 decades is nevertheless 3.5 hours.
Interesting.
So it's still a significant amount of time.
Sure it is.
And why do we have 3 steps of this assessment? Because we are subject to variability. We go through time, we evolve. Physiology is not static.
Right.
Only one step gives us a snapshot. But outside studies have shown through the past decades that a 3-point assessment is sufficient to provide significant data, reliable enough. We don't need 7 assessments, we don't need 2 assessments, we need 3.
And the years of experience have just boiled it down to this is the appropriate way and this is the best way to organize a person into a successful treatment program.
Absolutely. It is a very mature process. Yeah.
Okay. Sonia, I think I've asked you this before, but I think it bears a repeat question. When people come in, particularly for the first time, and some of them, as we've identified, are in considerable distress, do you recommend that they bring someone with them, a family member or a friend or a spouse or someone else?
Yes. They're most welcome to bring along a support system, whether it's a friend, a family member, a relative, anybody that they feel comfortable to sit along with them for the assessment stage. Even through treatment process-wise, actually, during treatments, if they even wanted someone along with them during that process, we encourage that they still have somebody there. We have all our wonderful support staff to sit along with them if they don't want to bring anybody along.
Right.
But it is a great a benefit to them to have somebody that they're comfortable with to sit along with them during that process.
And there's a lot of information, too, to absorb, Philippe.
Yes.
And perhaps a second set of ears is not a bad idea.
It is the point.
Right.
You're absolutely right. The reason is those patients are very tired. It is a role of engagement. They are very tired. They are very fatigable. The short-term memory is always left behind. They are forgetful. And even being in a great shape, it is a little exploit to remember every single thing we have done in a given assessment phase.
Especially ones that goes on for hours, right?
Yes. So for that reason, we encourage, to say the least, we strongly encourage our newcomers visiting us when they make the decision to proceed for the treatment, assessment first and treatment, if we can help them, is to bring someone they rely, they trust, because that person will be a reference for them to share and remember what has been going on.
Right. And perhaps at key points along the therapy progress, a sort of a reinforcement to don't forget now what they told you at the clinic, and don't forget to do your exercises, or that kind of backup, right?
This is exactly right. This is one of the other points for what reason we do that.
Okay. Bring a friend, bring lots of medical information. Our guest from Neurokinetics Clinic in Vancouver, by the way, it's right downtown on Granville Street. My gosh, it's in the Highcroft building, right? There's a Granville on 16th, right?
That's
correct. Right. It's 3195 Granville Street, Suite 60. And online, by the way, at Neurokinetics, Neurokinetics, neurokinetics.com. Have a look while we take the following quick time out.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.